If you've been doing Tracy Anderson for some time, then you are probably familiar with the Super G floor. This is the state-of-the-art bounce floors that Tracy Anderson has helped design to allow for bounce during dance cardio. Now, I don't know this for sure, but I think the reason why she developed these floors is because she found so much benefit in rebounding, but when you're using a rebounder for exercise, you're limited in what you can do because you're limited to a small trampoline. So I don't know the story about this. I would love to know if somebody does, but I think that Tracy Anderson came up with this concept of a bounce floor that could be used during a class. And what makes these floors bouncy is special springs and also the pliability of the wood. Now, plenty of tammers have actually bought the home version for the Super G floor. You can actually buy it from tracyanderson.com. The process is this: you determine what size you want, you email the team, you get a shipping quote, and from there you organize your floor to be delivered. I believe there's a service where they can help put it together for you, and then you can even put it together on your own. I'm not an expert on that. I'm not. But there are tammers that have it, and they are great resources to ask about it. But I had learned that there's actually a cost-effective version to the Tracy Anderson Super G floor, and it's made by a small company called American Gym Floor. They make different flooring for things like gymnastics or even jujitsu. They have these floors that have springs to them, pliability, based on the different needs. And they actually have a special floor that you can purchase that's very similar to what you can get from Tracy Anderson, but a fraction of the cost. When I was quoted for the Super G floor, shipping alone was $800. And then I think it was close to $4,000 for me to buy a 6x10 floor. When I got a quote from American Gym Floor, their price all in was about $1,200. I'm not one to just simply buy something based on price alone. There were certain things I took into consideration. I'm also going to share with you why I actually had some regrets when I first purchased this floor, and then some things you're going to want to think about if you're determining whether or not you want to invest in a bounce floor like this one or even go all out with the Super G floor. Hi, I'm Rachel. Each week I create content around the Tracy Anderson Method and other random things that are legit helping me. So if that's of interest to you, would love for you to subscribe. I post videos just about every single Sunday. You can also follow me on social media like Instagram and TikTok. Although I don't post much, sometimes it's a great way to just see other things I've put together. So why I went with this American Gym floor is not just price, but it really came down to, do I really want to invest that much for dance cardio alone? Because although I love dance cardio, I don't do it all that frequently. I also go back and forth towards leaning towards walking as my main form of cardio. Now, I've gone back and forth on walking because I do try and stay out of the sun. I'm also convinced that walking makes my calves bigger. So if you were to look at some other videos, I may say, oh, I like dance cardio much more than walking. That kind of goes back and forth depending on where I'm at. I think walking is by far one of the best things you can do for your health. I mean, if you want to feel slim and trim, start with walking, prioritize walking. I'm actually going to be putting together a video around a standing desk, which has also helped me so much to feel slim and trim all the time. But anyways, I didn't want to front that much. I mean, we're talking $5 grand on a floor for dance cardio. And don't get me wrong, I'm really good at rationalizing big expenses. Like, I have a love for designer shoes. I bought a pair of Valentino wedges 3 years ago. I still wear them all the time. They last forever. They make me feel incredible. And that way, that's worth it to me. I would rather have quality over quantity. I don't have a big shoe collection. I really like to be thoughtful about the shoes I buy and wear them all the time. But back to the flooring and trying to rationalize that cost, it was just, there was a part of me that wondered, what if I don't do Tracy Anderson forever? And then I have this floor that I spent all this money on. I also didn't know the difference between the American Gym floor and the Super G floor. So that kind of sums up for you why I wanted to go with the American Gym floor. It was on price, and then also, how much am I going to be doing dance cardio? Is it worth it for me to go all out and go with the Big Daddy version? Not to mention, I didn't know the differences. So this is where my regret comes in, because when I got the gym floor, the American Gym floor, Brandon, my husband, who went above and beyond and put it together for me. He didn't know that I actually wanted to put together a video about how to assemble it, but it is so simple, I don't even know that a video is necessary. But he went ahead and put it together for me in the garage. The tammers I've talked to that have this floor, that also live in Florida, say that it does fine with the humidity, so that's great. But he put it together for me, and when I started jumping on it for the first time, I was amazed. Yes, there's bounce to it, but there were some areas that had more bounce than others. And there's also parts of the floor, as you're jumping, the wood pieces kind of separate a little bit. So some tammers will actually lay along tape to like make it stay completely flush together at all times. Some tammers will also stain it. I have not stained it yet. But when I first started jumping on it, I was suddenly like immediately frustrated. Okay, this is the cost-effective version, but it's not equally bouncy in all areas. So I reached out to one of my tam friends who has this floor, and I asked her about it. I also reached out to one of the tammers that has a Super G floor and asked, hey, is the Super G floor equally bouncy in all areas? She said it was, and I shared with her, I was worried I made a mistake because it's not, there's some areas there's not as much bounce. And she said, well, I know the tammers that have the American Gym floor absolutely love it, so, maybe you talk to them. So when I suddenly get concerned that I made a mistake, I can't help but just go in a tailspin and just start questioning if I made a mistake and like suddenly wanting to sell my floor. Well, going back to the conversation with my friend Aunt Emily, who actually has the American Gym floor, she said, you know what, it does just take some breaking in. You want to make sure that you jump all along the floor to make sure that it's super bouncy in all areas, and that she absolutely does love it. She has experience going to the Tracy Anderson gym where those floors are really broken in and super bouncy. Both Emily, who has the American Gym floor, and this other tammer, they both made me feel so much better about the decision. And I think it just took, anytime I make a big purchase decision, I can't help but immediately have some buyer's remorse. And that was the case here too. But I wanted to share that initial experience I had. I've now had the floor for a full month, and I am enjoying dance cardio so much more with this floor. In addition to that, it makes the Tracy Anderson workout experience feel so much more official because it's like I'm working out on a stage. It's just added to my experience. Brandon and I are in the process of cleaning the garage. I'm really going to level up my Tracy Anderson space. It's going to take some time, but I'm looking at mounting some mirrors in my garage. I'm even looking at like getting some flattering track lighting in there, putting in some shelves like to hold my weights and my laptop, and really just make it my own workout studio. So I am absolutely loving the American Gym floor. For me, it was totally worth it. Maybe if I'm still doing Tracy Anderson years from now, maybe I'll bite the bullet and go all in with this Super G floor. But there's no way for me to know how much better it is unless I were to try somebody else's Super G floor, because it's probably a little bit different than the studio version, because the studio version is super broken in. But for now, the American Gym floor gives me a great bounce. Dance cardio is so much more enjoyable. My mat workouts are so much more enjoyable because I do it on the floor itself. But there was that period of time where I was like, oh gosh, should I have just bitten the bullet and just went all in? And at this point, I'm glad I didn't. That can go towards other things like rounding out my Tracy studio. So if you are questioning whether you need a bounce floor or not, quite frankly, I don't think it's absolutely necessary. And I mean that for the folks that really don't like dance cardio, would much rather go walking or do something else. In that case, I don't think getting a bounce floor is gonna turn around your relationship with dance cardio. For me, it's made it much more enjoyable, but I've already liked dance cardio for the most part, and I go in these waves where, you know, some months I like it much more than others. But I would not advise this for somebody who already struggles with dance cardio already. Instead, something like a rebounder, especially if you have tough, bad joints, rebounder is probably an even better option. For those folks that don't have enough space in their home to get a bounce floor, or maybe you don't have a garage space like I do, and you're kind of frustrated because maybe you do really want a bounce floor, I want to tell you that you're really not missing out too much. It definitely adds to the experience, but I don't think you're missing out that much. Now, if you are someone that's convinced you're going to be doing Tracy Anderson for the long haul, or maybe you've been in it for the long haul already and you've been thinking about getting a bounce floor for some time, you're never going to know until you actually pull the trigger. And you may pull the trigger and find yourself sharing with others. It's a no-brainer. You've got to do it. I think everyone's different. And because I'm such a skeptical person, and there's a part of me that's like, will I be in Tracy Anderson forever? What if I'm not? That's really why I didn't want to just throw down $5-6 grand on the floor alone. But hey, if I'm still rocking and rolling 2 years from now, maybe I will reconsider things. Maybe I'll reconsider things. And in which case, I'll try and list and sell my floor to my, American Gym floor to another tammer. So this is kind of a jumbled video. Really just wanted to share with you my American Gym floor experience. I do absolutely love it. I think it is good though for you to know if you're going to purchase it that it does take some breaking in, and you may want to do things like stain the floor and add tape to keep the panels flush at all times. And when it comes down to it, everybody's circumstances are different. Everybody's requirements for making a choice is different. This has been my experience. Wanted to share it with you. If you have a bounce floor, would love to know, do you think it's worth it? Which one do you have? If you don't have a bounce floor and you're considering it, why do you want to purchase a bounce floor? And maybe what's in the way from you pulling the trigger? As with every video, thank you so much for each and every comment, each like. It makes all the difference in the world. And if you want to share some video topics you'd like me to cover, that always helps as well. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.